and ask you guys how to cook a bunch of different stuff. And I'm well on my way because I've burned tons of stuff. So
you're on your way to being a fine chef.
Exactly. So come on up, John, and we're going to just put you guys on the spot. I know you need to duck out in about 15 minutes, but let's just open it up to your guys' questions. Right there.
What's the name of HIMI Culinary?
You want me to pronounce the... It's in Talence, France. The name's about that long. I lived in France for a month, and the only French I speak is ha. That's it. That's all the French I know. But it's the glycine, da something else, but it's in Talence. It's a tourism school.
You said that Dingle was a sister city of Santa Barbara.
Correct.
Can you elaborate on that?
Sister city programs are partnerships between cities around the world. Santa Barbara has, I think, 8 sister cities. Dingle, the only reason I ended up there is the guy who was setting that up happened to come eat in the JSB. And the chef, my honest belief, is the next great chef in the world is going to come out of Ireland. And I always talk about it. And he goes, aren't you the guy that wants to go to Ireland? And I go, yeah. He goes, there's a guy out there right now that has a restaurant in Ireland. And that's how I got kind of into that whole program. But it's sister city programs. Every city has a sister city somewhere. Huh?
Port of the Art.
Yeah. Sister city of Santa Barbara.
It's usually somebody's created an alliance with that city, and you do kind of cultural exchanges. There's different auspices, but probably if you looked it up online, you'd find some information.
Yeah, I was actually going to try to work in every sister city of Santa Barbara. So Port of Art to be my next one. Go work in a tequileria. Yeah, that'd be a rough life.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. One is, what is the percentage of raw dish in your menu? Second is it is a difficult challenge if you keep 50% raw and 50% cooked food in one dish. Would that be a challenge?
It all depends on what you're doing. Are we talking about like salads and stuff like that? Like a chicken Caesar salad?
Well, it depends, if it's like a fancy dish with a decoration, or if it's like, natural dish, it depends. I mean, could be 50% salad with, a piece of like a steak or fish or chicken, or like, those fancy cooked food and with a, a fancy raw dish.
That's a tough question, one I'd have to think about, and I'd have to defer to one of our chefs. And it depends on what the context it is. If it's a plated meal or raw foods, I'm assuming, are more associated with raw vegetables and or fruits as opposed to proteins. I mean, the sky's the limit. Believe it or not, we have a couple of clients that at every wedding or large celebration that we do, there's always going to be a vegan or a hard vegetarian involved. And I've got to account for that. I'm not sloughing off my responsibility, but rather than me designing a menu for it, I'm going to hire a vegan chef or vegetarian chef and give him that aspect of the menu and just make sure everything's there that he or she needs. So that's a great question. It just depends on the context of the plate and the serving and the presentation.
Right.
Is it protein, produce,
Right.
Or something else?
Right.
It's a great question.
90% of enzyme in the raw are protein.
That's right.
So, if you have this enzyme knowledge, you don't have to worry about combination of raw with cooked food, concerned about the even in the vegan dish, you don't have to worry about the, protein. The thing is that, cooked food with 50% raw, whatever you cook with 50% raw, even dessert or junk food with 50% raw, that's a good nutrition factor balance to keep the balance, and especially in these modern days that we need enzymes that more than used to that to for not only nutrition balance, also for the environmental pollution.
You bring up a great point. It's almost like molecular science. I'm sure Chef will agree with me. If there's one aspect in your curriculum that you should really pay attention to, and me being self-taught, I need to spend more. I'm busy getting my business to the next level so that I can finally buy a house, not rent a house. But here's what: pay attention to your nutrition. If you're going to become a private chef, one of my dreams was me being a college football coach for 17 years. I thought I'm going to become a chef, a great caterer, because I know a lot about food, and I wanted to chef for a professional athlete. It ain't going to happen, because that professional athlete's body that's his tool, and nutrition is everything. So if you're especially private chef, and nutrition is what it's all about, and that's something that I really need to pay attention to, that I don't know enough about, and I applaud you for bringing that question to us.
Okay, we've got a question here, and a question there. So we'll start right there.
How do you choose your ingredients? Do you do it personally? And how do you, like, I'm not a vegetarian, I love eating meat, but I have a problem with some of the way animals are treated.
Sure.
You know, just with being corn-fed beef, how do you feel about that?
Chef, I'm moving on to talking.
There's a lot of conscious decisions that you make when you buy food. As a chef, when I was going through school, as you guys are going to go through this program, you'll hear a lot about foie gras, you know. You'll hear a lot about veal, you know. I'm 43 years old. I've never eaten veal in my life. I never will. I've never eaten foie gras. I never will. Almost failed a class here at City College because I wouldn't process it, I wouldn't cook it, and I wouldn't eat it. And they said, well, you're going to fail this section. And I said, good luck with that. And I had a 4.0 grade point average, and they weren't going to mess with me. So, you know, you have to make conscious decisions. I don't eat tortured animals. You know, some will go, oh, you know, cows are tortured, and da-da-da-da. I don't believe that. But I'm not going to force feed an animal until it dies so I can harvest something to eat. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to hang a baby animal upside down and do that either. So you have to make decisions on how you're going to do it. You know, I'm a chef. My son is vegetarian. My daughter is vegan. So I kind of grew up going, come on, guys, I'm a chef. You're making me look bad. But you have to learn how to deal with proteins, especially for them. So make a conscious decision, buy it from reputable providers, people who are, you know, grass-fed beef is a great place right outside of, that are doing, you know, amazing stuff. And they're really, really good to their animals and da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, that's the way you want to go. Sometimes that's expensive. You just got to figure out how much it matters to you. You know, I'm sure the people and I'm not going to name any names, but I'm sure the people at some fast food chain restaurants really don't care what happens to their cows. I care about stuff like that. It's usually more expensive, so you got to kind of make your decisions. At the end of the day, you're going to have to sleep. So, you know.
And within context, I'm in a little bit different end of the spectrum in that I can't afford to pay a chef's wage to go do my procurement. So I do a lot. I have a great relationship with all my vendors. I'm an old school guy in that I rarely carry, real quick answer, I try to buy all my produce, all my seafood, all my proteins sight on, you know, when I get there I'll pick and choose it and I'll go through that because I can't afford to pay somebody to buy it for me. Making the choices that you spoke of, real quick on that, when I first started Epicurean Cowboy, I wanted to grill the world, and I was all over the board with all these incredible menus and genres of food. Then I realized, John, you can't do all of it. Just what is it that you're famous for? And luckily, and thank God, I've found a spectrum of foods and presentation that I try to stick to. Because you get outside your realm, it's just too much to do for one small company. So, answer your question, I buy all my own produce. I'm there on the docks. I go to the meat. I go to the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. I do it all myself.
Cool.
Do you know a good candlestick maker?
Okay, question here.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen, for your input.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys can help me out on maybe several tips or a couple tips on gaining employment as an executive chef, because I am one, and I'm one of the best. And I'm a humble guy, but since I'm here, I'm one of the best in California. I've trained Cordon Bleu guys. I've trained the CIA. Served Natalie Cole 2 years ago. 300 plus people got us 3-piece. You know, I came out of retirement.
Yeah.
You know, LACB magazine, all this other stuff. I put out almost 800 resumes. And we live in an information age now. And where before I just walk in and put on my mise en place and I look good, you know, and I can walk into any kitchen in the world not my extras, I can just walk in and write Spanish in the whole shot. What do I do now that I'm
My
here 2 months
heart's
from
out to
today?
you. I'm going to jump in here. My
It's
heart's
very
out to you.
competitive.
Leave Santa Barbara.
My resume.
Yeah.
Leave Santa Barbara because
Don't do
unfortunately, it's,
Right now.
you know, I'm teasing, and I don't mean to take your question trite. I
Going
take
into
it with
another
honor,
field right now.
honor and respect. It's some of the greatest chefs in the world's come through Santa Barbara, and they have these great ideas, and they're just not, we don't have the food culture here with service.
Yes,
You
so
can be
I
the
figured-
world's best chef anywhere, and as soon as it goes from the back of the house to the front of the house, we,
And I see the type of people who work in the kitchens now.
Have you been out to Bacara?
that's it. Bacara, Biltmore, Four Seasons,
Bacara,
Sunny Cedar Ranch. and
Bacara, Biltmore, and St. Cedar Ranch.
So I
Before you
figured-
leave, get my
Yeah,
business
that's,
card.
he's,
Get my
So
business
one
card.
last thing, I figured that I wouldn't give hope, give one last shot, so I'm gonna go out in person soon. But I'm dusting off my UCLA diploma
Oh,
and
yes,
Santa
you
Monica
gotta do
College,
that.
and I'm back here, 55. Feel good.
Thank you. And we have a question back here.
Second,
I have a question regarding on-site grilling with your business and stuff. Do you get a permit before you do the on-site grilling?
Can you repeat the question?
I think the question is, do I need an on-site cooking permit per
Yeah.
event?
Yeah.
Depends on where it is. If it's in a public venue, many times, yes. We're fully licensed and bonded. Have a, you know, a product liability insurance out the wazoo. Have food handlers, permits, et cetera, et cetera. But here's, and I'm on camera and I'll be right up front with you, it's a matter of semantics. You as the client hire me as your private chef and I come to your home or to your winery or your barn or your ranch and I'll cook for you. So the rules are a little bit different, but if I go on a public facility or venue, yeah, I've got to have all my UCSB, et cetera, yeah, you got to have all that in mind. Yeah, you bet.
Thank you.
More questions here.
Question to John.
Yeah.
What would be your advice if tomorrow I want to be a private chef? Like I cook pretty much every day because I'm same passion, but I don't know anything about the entire classes, nothing. What would be the advice if tomorrow I would start doing my private chef business?
It'd be tough without a client.
How do you find it?
Word of mouth, good reputation, go to work for a guy like this. You gotta be working whilst looking for work. And yeah, you can't do it from the school desk. You just gotta get it, you know, and that's that old saying, I got a degree from the University of Hard Knocks.
Well, it's interesting, this question, it occurs to me that some of the advice that we give to pretty much all kinds of students in the Career Center is to do an internship or do some volunteer work, you know, because then all of a sudden you're in that world, you're making, you're having experiences, you know. A lot of students want to be maybe be an executive chef or anything else, and they want to start at the top, you know. It's like maybe you're going to have to cook for the preschool, you know.
Well, the answer that I've always given when I get questions like this, you want to be a really, really, really good chef, learn how to wash dishes.
That's right.
Okay. Then after you wash dishes, you're going to be working making salads, and then you're going to be making desserts, and then you're going to be doing this. And when you get to wash dishes, if you wash them really, really fast, your job's done, and you can pay attention to this guy over here, and you kind of move your way up the thing. And it was humbling for me at 38 to be washing dishes, but it's the only way you're going to learn how to do it. Because when you have your own place, you the man. You got all these people working for you. Guess what? At some point, dishwasher's going to call off. And you have a choice to pull off in front of your staff. You can bump everyone down, or you can go down.
Yeah.
I've never bumped my staff down. I've always gone and done the bottom job because it shows your staff, oh, this guy's not above doing anything. And I'll wash dishes, take out trash, and it's not the greatest thing in the world, but guess what? Somebody has to do it.
Yeah. The problem is that even here, they ask you for at least 2 years experience to be a dishwasher. So even if you go there and hey, I just want to wash dishes, I want to work, you know.
Well, that's Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara, that's why I work in the Valley. You know, the Valley, that's why I'm up there. That's why I'm in Santa Maria. You know, the job market now is crazy. You know, I'm blessed to be where I'm at. You know, but I studied a lot and I worked really, really hard. So, dishwashing, baking, doing anything. Having a job, it doesn't matter what your job is, having a job. Learn how to deal with people, Being at City College, try to get a job at City College washing dishes in the cafeteria. That's a hard job, but it teaches, because there's a bunch of people they don't do what they're supposed to do and they go away. I used to run the people up at the cafeteria, and they go through them. So take one of their jobs. Just show up and work harder.
Question back there. Did you have a question in the black t-shirt? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw your hand go up. Okay, we have one right here.
Just on that note, for who you asked that question? I don't know if you're taking the introduction to food service class, but just something that over and over is repeated is you're going in for a job, be prepared to not be paid for it. And just be able I don't care if I'm not even paid, I just want to be in your restaurant and kind of absorbing what's going on in the kitchen. And even if it's cleaning toilets or like you said, doing dishwashes, do it to the best of your ability with integrity, and they'll see that.
That's Serenity House. One of the big things is we're partnered very closely with City College. And it has a lot to do with me. But it has a lot to do with the board of directors are a lot of the same people on both. So I'm one of the few places in Santa Barbara that have my pick of interns. I do internships up there. I have a student every semester that comes to work with me. One of the biggest things that we had to figure out in the very beginning was, we won't hire a dishwasher. We'll have the interns do it. I won't bring interns up there to do dishes. That's not their gig. Let's say you were my intern. You're going to be cooking food while I wash dishes. I need to teach you how to do it. I'm figuring most of the people in this room know how to do dishes, right? I probably don't need to teach you how to do that. I want to teach you the good stuff. But internships are a good way to go. Don't do it for a long time, man. Don't do it for a long time. You got to work and get paid. You got bills just like everybody else. But if it's going to get you in the door and you got to do it for free for a month, but I don't know who can work for free for a month. But in a month, they should pretty much figure out whether they're going to hire you or not.
Good.
Start paying you.
That's great advice. Unfortunately, John has to leave us, we appreciate you sharing your information. And I'm going to send all of you who've signed up if you haven't signed in, please sign in. And I'll send you his website and email. And you should check out his website. I went and looked at it. It's pretty cool, the Epicurean Cowboy.
And if you have any questions for that guy, he's the nicest guy in the world. He really is. He's a lot nicer than I am.
I don't know. He didn't read his email because he knew about being here speaking. Any more questions for Chef here, or should I start asking what his favorite recipes are?
I've been working in food industries. Well, I used to work in Taco Bell, but now since my boss, he wouldn't pay attention to what I did. I would want to work a lot, and I wanted to be manager there, but he wouldn't see that I was interested. But I did everything I could. So they told me last Friday that if your boss doesn't see that you want to progress or doesn't help you out, you should just move out of that restaurant. And that's what I did. I went to Maravilla.
Okay.
Yeah, and so from there, I try to do my best. I do everything. If somebody tells me to do something, I do it without complaining, because there's a lot of employees that are like, I don't want to do this. But I don't complain, and I do it because I want to do it. But what do you suggest for me if I stay in the same place? If the manager doesn't see that I want to be a cook or a chef? Because right now I'm a busser, and I want to be already preparing the food and stuff.
I'm just going to repeat the question so we have it on the videotape. It sounds to me like your question is, how can I stand out and show my supervisor that I really want to cook and that I want to be a chef, even though I'm doing one of these maybe lower on the chain kind of jobs?
Every place I've ever worked, opened, anything, most of my sous chefs, my under chefs, when you go in as a manager, usually what happens is you'll go in, you pay attention to who's there and who's doing what. I always spend about a week trying to figure out who everybody is and what their strengths and weaknesses are. Because then you can start going, okay, I need to make this change, I need to make that change. As a busser, as a dishwasher, as the guy that sweeps floors and takes out trash, those are all really, really important jobs. People, as managers, like you're talking about your situation at Taco Bell, that was absolutely not your fault. It was somebody else's fault. It was your manager's fault. Managers are supposed to pay attention to what their employees are doing. And you take star employees and make them even shinier star employees. When you take advantage of people and don't pay attention to what they're doing or don't care about what they're doing, that's the manager's fault. My best advice, just work really, really hard. And anytime you can put in, hey, I want to do this, or hey, I want to do that, bring it up. Good managers love people who are go-getters. Okay, I always want to hire, promote, train, and invest time in people who want to learn things. I've had several restaurants in Santa Barbara. I've had several restaurants in the Valley. I've had several restaurants back east. That, you know, I go in there and it's usually the guy that's making salad or the guy that's making desserts. And I will take them and da-da-da-da, and I'll spend about a year with them. And when I leave, guess who takes my job? The guy that I've taught everything to. You know, this guy knows how to do everything. I know you guys pay him to make salad, but he knows how to do everything. So I have several success stories out there where these people were making $8 an hour, and then they were making $60,000 a year, which is about $30 an hour. So, you know, just work really, really hard, and if they're not paying attention to you, don't be afraid to move. Because it's not your fault, it's a manager not paying attention to what you're doing. And there's a lot of bad managers out there. There are. You know, I replace tons of them every year.
More questions?
I have a quick question.
We have a question back there, and then you.
Do you know of any other internship opportunities or places for, because I'm a senior in high school,
Uh-huh.
and so I feel like I can't really get many
Why not?
because.
How old are you? 17, 18?
17.
You can get internship positions. If you go through the, what is it, the Randy's office, that area,
The culinary office.
the culinary office, they have a bunch of stuff in there. Usually you have to be a culinary student. I know a lot of us want to be chefs, you know. Here's the thing. If you want a job in Santa Barbara, learn how to work front of the house. Learn how to be a fantastic server. Learn wine. You know, learn these things. Okay? There are a lot of brilliant chefs in Santa Barbara. There are about 6 great servers in this entire county. Okay? And I'm one of them, and I work in a kitchen. So, service end of it, that's actually where the money is. Oh, that's the other thing. If you want to be a chef, you know you're not going to make any money, right? Servers will kill you because servers make all the money. I have servers that have worked for me that make $80,000 a year when I'm making 50. So, but yeah, no, you can find internships. Some other places that you might, I'm sitting here thinking about your situation at the same time. Places like Costco, places like Lazy Acres, you know, pull yourself out of a restaurant and go work at Safeway in their deli, or go work at Safeway in their meat department, or something like that. Costco does ginormous production. You know, somebody has to make all those muffins. You know, be the guy that makes those. You're going to learn a ton at Costco. You know, somebody needs to make rotisserie chickens. You know, you can learn a lot at a place at Costco or Safeway.
And we've got great health.
You know, and yeah, oh yeah, that's the other thing is those places have benefits too. You know, so
That's interesting advice.
yeah, my very first cooking job was actually in a deli, and you don't learn how to make, you know, steaks and this, that. Now I made a wide variety of stuff, so that's the other thing to think about. Try to get a job at like Costco, Safeway, something like that.
We have a question here.
Yeah, I was just wondering, all these events that we have, like coming up, this avocado festival, what kind of permits do?
They have to get permits from the city. Some of them are from the county. Food permits. There are a couple. If you go there and actually look at how they're set up, I mean, they're mobile kitchens. You know, mobile kitchens. But yeah, there's a lot of permitting. Make sure everybody has their food safety stuff, their Serve Safe certifications. Yeah, they're regulated. Especially several years ago, one agency almost killed like 70 people, food poisoning. If you're in the culinary program, you'll hear this story at some point. Yeah. Yeah.
You go to the city hall or something for that?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so.
Okay.
More questions? More recipes? Can you share one more? I love to cook. Can you share a recipe? Like
What do you want
something?
to know?
Okay, let's see. Something not too difficult that my kids eat everything, but that my kids would like.
I'll give you a recipe for the absolute most brilliant salad ever made.
All right.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Romaine lettuce, strawberries, feta cheese, walnuts, purple onion, grated Parmesan, raspberry vinaigrette. It's a brilliant salad.
Okay. Romaine, strawberries, walnuts, purple onion, feta, shaved Parmesan, grated Parmesan,
Either.
and raspberry vinaigrette. All right.
There you are.
I think that's a great way to end. Thank you so much for coming. We really enjoyed it.